Every single one of these products is sitting on a shelf at your local hardware store right now, and most of them have decent reviews online. But I'll tell you, after 3 decades of fixing what other people installed wrong, I've learned that some of the most popular plumbing products on the market are the ones that cause the most damage. Today, I'm walking you through 10 plumbing products you should never buy, including a so-called upgrade at number 6 that's actually a downgrade in disguise. And stick around for the bonus tip at the end, because it could save you from a flooded basement. The first product on our list, and one I see in almost every home I walk into, is Sharkbite push-fit fittings used as permanent connections. Now listen, I want to be fair here. Sharkbite fittings have their place. If you've got a burst pipe at 11 o'clock at night and water is spraying everywhere, a Sharkbite fitting will stop the bleeding. I get that. The problem is when homeowners use them as a permanent solution behind drywall, under floors, in places you'll never see again until something goes wrong, and something will go wrong. These fittings rely on a small rubber O-ring to create the seal, and rubber degrades over time. Heat cycles, water chemistry, mineral content, all of it wears that O-ring down. I've pulled Sharkbite fittings out of walls after 5 or 6 years and found the O-ring cracked and weeping. Not a gush, just a slow, silent drip that's been soaking the subfloor or rotting the stud bay for months before anyone noticed. A properly soldered copper joint or a crimped PEX connection will outlast you and me both. Use Sharkbite fittings for what they are, a temporary emergency repair, and then come back with a permanent fix when you've got time to do it right. The second product that costs homeowners more than they realize is the cheap universal fill valve, the kind you find in the bargain bin for $3 or $4. You know the ones. They come in a plastic bag with instructions printed so small you need a magnifying glass. These are knockoffs of the Fluidmaster 400A design, and on the surface they look almost identical. But the internals are garbage. The float mechanism sticks. The seal on the cap warps after a few months, and before you know it, your toilet is running non-stop. That constant running isn't just annoying. It's sending water straight down the overflow tube and into the drain 24 hours a day. I've seen water bills jump $40 or $50 a month from one bad fill valve. Spend the extra few dollars and get a genuine Fluidmaster 400A, or better yet, a Corky Quiet Fill. They last for years, they're easy to adjust, and the replacement parts are available everywhere. Cheap fill valves are a false economy every single time. The third product you should never buy is a bottom-tier braided stainless steel supply line. Now here's the thing that gets people in trouble. These look exactly like the good ones. Same braided stainless exterior, same fittings on the end. But inside that braided jacket, the rubber hose is thin, poorly bonded, and made from materials that break down fast. When one of these fails, it doesn't drip, it bursts. I'm talking full water pressure flooding your kitchen or bathroom. And if you're not home when it happens, you can come back to thousands of dollars in water damage. I've been called to homes where the entire first floor was ruined because a $4 supply line let go under the kitchen sink. Buy name brand supply lines from Fluidmaster, Brasscraft, or Watts. Look for the ones rated for your local water pressure and replace them every 8 to 10 years, even if they look fine. This is one place where spending an extra $5 or $6 is the cheapest insurance you'll ever buy. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, do me a small favor and hit that subscribe button down below. I put out new videos like this one every week, walking you through repairs that'll save you a small fortune in plumber bills. Subscribing is free, and it's the best way to make sure you don't miss the next one. All right, let's continue. The fourth product I want to warn you about is chemical drain cleaners like Drano and Liquid Plumber. I know they're tempting. You've got a slow drain, you pour some magic blue liquid down the hole, and 20 minutes later, the water goes down. Problem solved, right? Wrong. Those chemicals work by generating heat and dissolving organic material, but they don't just dissolve the clog, They eat away at your pipes from the inside out. If you've got old cast iron drains, those chemicals accelerate the corrosion that's already happening. If you've got ABS or PVC, the heat generated can soften the plastic and weaken the joints. And here's something most people don't think about. If you pour that stuff down the drain and it doesn't clear the clog, now you've got a pipe full of caustic chemicals sitting in standing water. When a plumber shows up and has to snake that drain or pull a trap apart, that chemical splash is a real hazard. I've seen guys get burned by it. Use a plunger, use a hand snake, use an enzyme-based drain maintainer for slow drains. But keep those chemical cleaners off your shopping list for good. The fifth product on our list is the off-brand all-in-one shower valve kit. You'll find these online and at some big box stores, usually priced $30 to $50 less than a Moen or Delta valve. They come with everything in one box: the rough-in valve, the trim plate, the handle, and the cartridge. Sounds like a great deal until the cartridge fails in 2 years, and you find out the manufacturer doesn't sell replacement parts. Or worse, the company doesn't exist anymore. I've opened up shower walls and found valves with no brand name stamped anywhere on them. No model number, no way to identify the cartridge. That means ripping out the whole valve and starting over. On top of that, most of these cheap valves don't include proper anti-scald protection, which is required by code in virtually every jurisdiction in the country. A Moen Posy Temp or a Delta monitor valve costs more up front, but the cartridges are available at every hardware store in America, and those companies have been around for decades. You'll thank me later on this one. Now, the sixth product, and this one surprises a lot of people, is the wax-free toilet seal. These get marketed as a cleaner, easier, more modern alternative to the traditional wax ring. And I understand the appeal. Wax rings are messy. Nobody likes squishing that thing down onto the flange. But here's the problem. Wax-free seals use a rubber gasket that relies on compression against the flange to create the seal. On a brand new, perfectly level flange that sits at the right height, they work fine. But most homes, especially homes built before 1980, don't have perfect flanges. The flange might be a quarter-inch below the finished floor. It might be slightly off level. It might have a small chip on the rim. A wax ring conforms to all of those imperfections because wax is forgiving. It fills gaps. A rubber gasket doesn't. It either seals or it doesn't. And when it doesn't seal completely, you get sewer gas leaking into your bathroom. You might not even smell it at first, but it's there. Between you and me, I've reset more toilets that had failed wax-free seals than I can count. A good old-fashioned extra-thick wax ring with the built-in horn costs a couple of dollars in seals every time. Don't fix what isn't broken. The seventh product you should avoid is the corrugated flexible drain pipe, sometimes called an accordion drain pipe. These are the ribbed, flexible plastic pipes you see in the plumbing aisle, usually sold as a universal fix for connecting a sink tailpiece to the wall drain. They're flexible, they bend to fit odd angles, and they're easy to install. That's the sales pitch. The reality is that those ridges on the inside trap everything. Grease, soap scum, hair, food particles. All of it catches in those corrugations and builds up fast. Within a few months, you've got a clogged, stinking mess that no amount of snaking fully clears because the snake just rides over the ridges without scraping them clean. On top of that, most local codes don't allow corrugated drain pipes for permanent installation because they restrict flow and harbor bacteria. Use smooth wall PVC or ABS drain fittings with proper slip joint connections. They take an extra 5 minutes to measure and cut, but they drain properly and they stay clean. The eighth product I want you to steer clear of is cheap imported brass gate valves. These are the shutoff valves you'll find at the bargain end of the valve aisle. They look solid, they feel heavy enough, and the price is right. But the brass alloy used in these imports is often soft, porous, and prone to dezinsification, which is a fancy word for the zinc leaching out of the brass and leaving behind a weak, crumbly mess. The bigger problem is the gate mechanism itself. Gate valves work by raising and lowering a wedge-shaped gate inside the valve body. When you don't operate them for a few years, which is exactly what happens with most shut-off valves in a house, that gate corrodes in place. Now you've got a valve that won't turn when you actually need it. I've seen homeowners snap the handle clean off trying to shut off water during an emergency. Use quarter-turn ball valves instead. They're more reliable, they don't seize, and the good ones from Watts or Apollo will last the life of your house. Every shut-off valve in my 1958 ranch is a quarter-turn ball valve, and I've never had one fail on me. The ninth product on our list is the Universal Cartridge Repair Kit. You'll see these hanging on the peg hooks at the hardware store with packaging that says something like, "Fits most faucets," or "Universal Replacement Cartridge." I'll tell you, there is no such thing as a universal faucet cartridge. Moen, Delta, Pfister, Kohler, American Standard, they all use proprietary cartridge designs that are specific to each model. These universal kits come with a handful of O-rings and rubber seats that are sort of close to the right size but never exact. You install them, the faucet works for a week or two, and then the drip comes back. Now you've spent $8 on a kit that didn't work, and you still need to buy the correct OEM cartridge for another $12 to $15. You've wasted time and money. Here's what to do instead. Pull the old cartridge out, take it to the hardware store, and match it exactly. Or look up the faucet model number, which is usually stamped on the body or printed on a tag under the sink, and order the exact replacement. One correct part beats 3 wrong ones every day of the week. The 10th and final product on our list is the budget tankless water heater flushing kit. Tankless water heaters need to be flushed with a descaling solution at least once a year, sometimes twice if you have hard water. The kits sold for this job should include a small submersible pump, 2 hoses, and a bucket. The problem with the cheap kits, usually priced around $30 to $40, is that the pump is too weak to circulate the descaling solution effectively through the heat exchanger. It moves the liquid, but barely. The flow rate is so low that the vinegar or descaler doesn't make enough contact with the scale buildup to actually dissolve it. So you go through the whole process. You think your heater is clean, and 6 months later, your unit is throwing error codes because the heat exchanger is clogged. A quality flushing kit with a pump rated for at least 4 gallons per minute makes all the difference. The Zoller or My Plumbing Stuff kits run around $60 to $75, but they actually do the job. If you own a tankless heater, this is not the place to cut corners. All right, now for the bonus tip I've been holding on to. This one is about something most homeowners never think to check, and that's the date stamped on your water heater's supply lines and washing machine hoses. Every braided supply line and rubber washing machine hose has a manufacture date printed or stamped right on the fitting. Most manufacturers recommend replacing these every 8 to 10 years, regardless of how they look on the outside. The rubber inside degrades whether you can see it or not. I make it a habit every January to walk through my house and check every supply line and hose connection. It takes about 15 minutes. I look at the date stamps, I feel for any bulging or soft spots on the hose, and I check the fittings for any sign of moisture or mineral crust. If anything is older than 8 years or shows any sign of wear, I replace it that weekend. That 15-minute walkthrough has saved me from at least 2 potential floods that I know of. It costs nothing, it takes no special tools, and it's the kind of simple habit that separates someone who maintains a house from someone who just lives in one. That's how my Uncle Ray taught me, and that's how I'm teaching you. Before you go, if you got something out of this video, do me one last favor and hit that subscribe button. I put out new videos every week covering real-world plumbing repairs, money-saving tips, and the kind of know-how that takes years to pick up on the job. Subscribing costs you nothing, and it makes sure these videos show up in your feed when you need them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.